Hello, Comp and Lit 4 students. I'm going to do a quick video about getting a slideshow started for your monster presentation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going into the agenda right here. I have it pulled up right here, and I'm going to go over this slides presentation for this video. So this slides presentation, just to get started, you kind of notice it's got a nice, interesting opening picture on here, kind of grabs the attention. It just says monsters. So I have my title. Going into my next couple slides, I added some animated stuff. You can do that. You don't have to. Also notice these, while they're simple and they have this just text and no pictures, they are different from each other in that they kind of switch it up a little bit. So that's the kind of thing we're looking for, is just keep people interested and it to go along in the background and not be too distracting with too much text overall. So here are a few example presentations from some of my students last year. So they're created by previous students. These had more sources than you will need for the 2020 ones because we had more class time, they had bigger groups and stuff like that. So you're going to have a shorter presentation overall, and you need less sources. You only have two versus them needing like 4 or 6 or something like that. So you'll see a few differences. I had to fix that. But anyway, let's get going. So this one is one for Poltergeist. So this one has a really simple background, but I think it looks good. But the problem I see with this one, so overall you got a nice opening, you got a theme that they picked using Slides Carnival. It's pretty good. Title on the front, thing, their names here, those are made up names I took the students' names out. But this right here is kind of a problem. I think this is too many words. You're writing it all out, and what's going to happen is whoever's presenting this is going to stare at the screen and read it off while everyone in the class stares at the screen and reads it off. So instead, they did on this one looks a little bit better. So these are up on there, and they can kind of say, well, the definitive traits of a poltergeist are there's like loud noises that maybe happen at night and that startle people when they aren't ready or when they're alone. And also poltergeists are known to throw objects around the room and throw objects at people, which makes them really a danger. And they can also destroy things. So you get the point. I'm using this as like a background to what I'm saying to kind of punctuate it, but it's not everything I'm saying, because they shouldn't just be reading the slides. It's going to be really boring, and this is a lot less chaotic, right? And they go through and they have, this is maybe a little bit too much info on here, and I'd really like to see a picture or something on that, but these get kind of nice. They're broken up a little bit differently when they're talking about the examples in literature. They go to one and the other, and this stuff isn't too distracting of information. And, this is a similar layout, but they go into different layouts in here. It looks pretty good overall. GIFs can be great. Like at this point at the end is maybe a way to sort of get your audience alert and pull them in. But if you have a GIF on every page, people will just, especially when they're bored, because you know how high school students get, they're just going to get really bored and stare at it through the whole thing and not listen to what you're saying. So notice they have a conclusion slide on here, which is one of your requirements. And then their very last slide is a works cited slide. You're going to only need 2 works cited entries on here, but this is it. You just lay out works cited and this. And actually, as I will point out next week when I'm talking about the real guide for presenting these things, is this isn't even a slide you pull up during your presentation. You don't click on the end and say, there's my works cited. You have that tagged on so that I can see your works cited. And also, if you are making a presentation like this for some purpose to share with other people, you'd want a way for them to find your works cited, the works that you cited rather. And so you would include it on that. And then if you share this presentation with someone else, they have that information. And it's the kind of thing you could put up at the very end when you're leaving speaking. But that's what we put in the last slide. You don't really think about it being part of your speech. It's more of an addendum. So there is that one. We'll go back in here and we'll look at this other one, which has really great opening and closing slides. What they did is they actually went in and changed the background. I'll do a little instructional video about how to spruce up and set up your presentation next. But on this one, I'm just going to point out really nice background. They added in this text in here to kind of match it, the white and black. They put black outline and make sure you can see it really well and it doesn't get lost in the background. It looks really good. I love this opening. It's a striking image. It's really good. Where this one isn't quite as good, at least they use a background that's not a solid color. Like if you have a white background and black text, just go home. I don't want to watch your presentation. That's so boring to look at. It'll show that you really did no time at all put into it, and that your audience will be a little insulted by that if you're making them take their time to listen to you. But this one, at least it has the gradient background, so that's kind of nice. But what you can see is as you go on is they're really all just set up the same. You got all your stuff along the left side, you got a title right here, and you got a couple pictures thrown in. They're good pictures. It's not terrible, don't get me wrong, but we're being critical here just to tell you what are the best practices, right? Nice conclusion slide too. I found a really funny, weird image. It's a little blurry, and I'll talk about that in my next video about how to try and fix that or not end up with like a blurry image because it's a smaller pixel size. And then there's their works cited as well, just thrown in at the end. Okay. So the one other thing that I want to point out in here is that you shouldn't just start a slides presentation in Google. In Google Slides, rather. Their themes are really, really boring. So what I suggest and what I'm going to go more in depth on in the next little video is using Slides Carnival, where you go into these and you click on one that you like. And when you go down here, you can use Google Slides theme. And then when you go into use template, it will open it up in your actual Google Drive. And you can edit it from there, and then it's yours. And that's where you should do it. And these are great. They have lots of cool features. There's tons of slides, and you just use the ones you want and delete the rest, alter all your stuff. And they just give you some good ideas of what you can do, like adding a big image to the background or wherever that one was, or using numbers. Like a big number on the screen that just sort of makes a point or whatever, right? And they got lots of cool stuff on there. So I definitely suggest checking those out. Okay, that will be all for this one. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you in the next video. That's the worst sign off ever. Who cares? We'll see how many people actually get to this point in this video. So I'll just ramble on for a moment more. What's a good closing line? Let's see. Not thank you, because, you're welcome. How about that? Like, you're welcome for me being so cool and giving you the time of day. So cool. Oh, wow. I'm going to go with goodbye.